Good morning, everybody. I hope that you can hear me over my air conditioning unit, but you also have to excuse me because it is already boiling hot here. But wow, I had to jump on here this morning because we have a lot to discuss. A lot happened yesterday at D23 that I definitely want to discuss with you and kind of just go over because some of it was very exciting and a lot of it was a little bit underwhelming, in my opinion. I guess first and foremost, let's talk about, and I kind of wrote it down in my notes, Monsters Inc. Land. So, whenever I think of a property that I genuinely feel, wow, I need to experience that world. I personally want to walk through it. There's something that is so rich about that film that I need to go into it. Monsters Inc. isn't honestly one of those that comes to mind, but I know that it's extremely popular. That being said, I think that it is a fantastic addition to Hollywood studios because, Florida, I really don't want them to take for granted or take advantage so much of the space that they have where they're just like, oh, let's just make this because we have the space for it. Whenever, especially working in the Anaheim office, Imagineering really thinks double time, triple hard about what are we going to put in here because space is limited. And in those conversations, I think they're not happening in Florida because in Anaheim, the space is so limited that it needs to be good and it needs to be better than anything that's currently already there. And I don't know if Monsters Inc. is the most appropriate film to have a land, but I think that because it has the space, those deep conversations probably necessarily weren't had. Like the next land that's coming up, Villains Land. Whenever I think about a third park for Disneyland or a fifth gate at Disney World, this truly is the property or the expansion that I think could have been better utilized as a full new park. How many castles, how many layers? I mean, they could have built Ursula's lair, they could have built Jafar and the tiger lair. I mean, the list can go on and on and on, right? So, personally, I think the villain's land should have been a villain's park, and people love villains. Villains are always the most interesting, the most uniquely designed, have the best backstory, um, and they always are somewhat relatable because they go through some sort of tragedy. So I definitely think the villain's land itself is a good idea, but I think that it could have been used better as a park. The concept art, if you've seen it, you automatically, where my mind goes is Maleficent. The Moors, I see what I thought was Diava, which is Maleficent's crow. You see these very sharp, jagged rocks in the concept art, which just screams danger. I love Maleficent's castle as the center point. I mean, it had to be, right? Who is more iconic than Maleficent? So I'm super, super excited, and I hope that there is a nighttime spectacular show that happens in that land. But like I said, I think that it should have been a park all in itself. Next is going to be Coco. Coco is a charming movie. It is one of those, honestly, that I think, wow, I'm surprised it was made modern day because it's that good. And I am so excited for this coming attraction. This is one that I did know about, so I'm excited that it's finally out there so we could talk about it. A lot of people are saying, okay, well, where's it gonna go? Where can Coco go? There are actually quite a bit of spots still. And also, Disneyland Forward just got announced also, so that is going to be an expansion of California Adventure, and Disneyland is also getting an expansion in its own right, but a lot of those aren't ready to be announced yet. Hey, Caption Thrills, OMG, Disney went so hard. They did. They released a lot of footage and a lot of great ideas. Kyle, hi Russ, hello Kyle, how's it going? Um, so yeah, Coco is a fantastic addition to Disney's California Adventure. I'm so excited, especially because it is a water ride, and Disney kind of did away with water rides for a little bit, and they did trackless for a long time. And Originally, this was going to be planned as trackless, so I'm super, super excited that it's going to be a water ride. It needs to be a water ride, and the animatronics are just going to be spectacular, and the soundtrack and the finale is going to be beautiful. This attraction, Coco attraction, is going to be great. Moving over to Disneyland Paris, the Lion King ride. When I saw this originally, the concept art, I was like, wow, what a great addition to Disney's Animal Kingdom. And I honestly do believe that it will be an expansion in 5+ years to Disney's Animal Kingdom, but right now Paris got it first, which is fine, right? We always have to trade off, okay, you got it first for a little bit, and now we can get it. But it's beautiful. It's kind of like a Splash Mountain ride system, if you will, but just decorated differently, the rock work and stuff like that. I think it's gorgeous. I think that the music alone is going to be so epic. The animatronics, I mean, I can't wait to see Timon and Pumbaa and Scar. And again, it gives you that sense of, uh-oh, what's going to happen? Because The Lion King is not that happy of a film. It is, if you think about it as an adult, very dark, and it's just how do you say The Lion King? Wasn't it based off of like Mozart or Beethoven or something like that, like a play that was very dark? So I am super excited for the Lion King attraction. Next up, we're going back to Disneyland, and this news I'm super scared and super excited about at the same time. The Walt Disney animatronic. Whenever you take somebody, even like Lincoln, I've never seen, right? I've never got to um, see him in person. I've never got to see videos of him. I've only seen photographs. And even with Walt, we've seen videos. There's people that are still alive today that met him, and I think that it's going to be extremely judged. So it needs to be done perfectly. If I were working on that animatronic or that team, because I worked in the SQS department, so maintenance. This is a production sort of deal, so this will be happening at Glendale. I would go back to the Blaine Gibson sculpt that he did of the partner statue, because Blaine not only knew Walt, so he knew where the wrinkles were, he knew really the muscles in his face. So I would go back to the Blaine Gibson copy of the statue, the partner statue, and cast that in silicone and see how that works before I would go through the trouble of resculpting Walt, only because Blaine's figures, his head sculpts, I mean, we've all seen them, right, in Pirates of the Caribbean. They are so realistic and they breathe so much life. And like I said, I think that this figure is going to be very judged, and let's just see what happens. I'm a little skeptical. I do love Lincoln, and it's going to be interesting to see it kind of revolve like the carousel of progress, but it's a little concerning. But let's see what they do. Coming up next, we're going back to the Magic Kingdom. I am really excited for Cars Land to get an expansion in another coast. I think that Cars Land is one of the best lands Disney has ever built. It's beautiful, it's immersive, and Disney World definitely has a space for it. I would think that the track will be extended. That's me saying something without saying anything at all. So it'll be much more than it is at Disneyland. Of course, space was an issue there. But the rock work will be different, as you see in the concept art. It'll be a different type of Cars Land, but it'll still have that vibe, that energy, that soul that we love so much when we visit Cars Land. So that's very exciting to see Disney World gets so much expansions, especially Magic Kingdom. Wow, it's going to double in size. Avengers Campus Attraction. I laughed when they were announcing all of this, because I worked on Avengers Campus, and I remember, just so everyone knows, that this attraction was supposed to be opening with the land years ago. It's not something where, oh, this is a new idea. No, it was there. It just got cut because of budgets. So it's kind of ironic to hear them talk as if it's some new thing when it's just been done and on a shelf for so long. But this was always planned, and this is going to be a great addition to Avengers Campus, and it's going to take up pretty much the rest of the old Timon parking lot at Disney's California Adventure, so that's kind of sad. There are a few poles left in the back parking lot, near the WDI trailers where it still says Timon. So it's gonna be sad to see those go. But this is necessary, and it's going to be great to see the addition to Avengers Campus and some more character opportunities. It feels kind of squished, doesn't it? So that's definitely a thing. Of course, there's a lot of lounges and stuff that got announced. Let's head on over now to the films because wow, there was a lot of trailers dropped. I mean, let's start out with Agatha All Along. I was very shocked by the trailer. I think that it is extremely dark, and it's Marvel's way of kind of honing in on the whole Salem witchcraft trials and that era, which I think that they can elaborate on greatly. You obviously there's a hunger for it. Hocus Pocus 2 was so popular, so people like it in a fantasy realm. So my main question with that trailer was, okay, what is Agatha's goal? Because in the beginning I thought, okay, it's finally going to say what the premise of it's about. But all I know is that she got her powers taken away, and now she's going to walk some road. At the end of that road, does she get all powerful again? Did she break out of Wanda's spell? I have a lot of questions. At least Disney Plus is going to release a 2-episode premiere, so hopefully it'll answer all of that. So that's something that I'm kind of looking forward to. I think that they waited way too long to bring it. I think it should have came last year at the latest. And this is something to say about current production today, and it kind of makes me angry because I've heard excuses. Oh, there's no way they turned around. We can't do that. When I was in high school, when I was growing up, they were popping out Twilights every year, Hunger Games every year, Harry Potter's every year. It is possible if you have the right team and they're dedicated and they know what they're doing. So I think today people just like pushing paper and just doing the go around. So it's kind of frustrating, but we'll see what happens. I also saw the trailer for Snow White. I have a lot of concerns about this film. At first I thought it was scrapped, and then all those reshoots happened. The first thing that I saw with Snow White was, wow, there is such a contrast between her and the background. I don't know if this trailer means that this footage that they showed was done and over with. I hope not, because there was a lot of details in the back that just didn't seem complete to me, especially with the dwarfs. If you pause when they're dancing, there really isn't much expression on Dopey, and I think it's Happy or Doc. It just seems like the generic file. So I think that there needs to be a lot more detail put into them. You could just see the difference between her and them. You can tell that they're not there, and I don't like that. And I know it's possible to bring characters to life because I see Avatar and they look as real as ever. So I know it's doable, and I know they didn't have the same film director, and Avatar is in its own league, but it's doable. So it's kind of frustrating when I see them look so fake. But the evil queen, for instance, even on her castle, in the scene where it shows her looking down, if you see behind her, there's like this giant tapestry banner with no design on it. Like, what is going on? Is this done or not? Gal Gadot is obviously stunning. I think that it was a very interesting casting on Disney's part, because when I see Rachel and Gal, I don't really think that Gal's gonna be jealous of Rachel. Just saying. So that was kind of interesting. But she's obviously stunning. I do think that Disney could have utilized her as the live action Meg, perhaps, opposed to a villain, because she just has that voice, and I think that she would have been killer. Imagine her as Meg. Imagine her in the costume with the wig. Wow. But again, the story, it's going to be interesting to see how that's all played out. And I hope that it's done right. It did show a little bit of her in hag form, and she looked good. She looked scary. So I wonder if it'll be the same or different. Toy Story 5. I mean, I'm 32, so I grew up with Toy Story. And I think there's a time where you really need to evaluate, and this was kind of the whole premise the first day with sequels and prequels. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. And I think Toy Story 4 really left Woody where he needed to be. Woody, even in Toy Story 4, was still talking about Andy, and he's been gone from him for 2 films now. So that just shows like Woody, he needed to be, if not with Andy alone or with Bo Peep, somebody else that he loved. So let's see how he gets back with the gang. The concept art definitely showed him with the toys now. So I'm curious to see how he is with the toys, and if Bo Peep came back. And like I said, Incredibles 3 got announced. I think you should top them at 3. Honestly, if Toy Story 3 was the last one, would we all be mad about it? Probably not. So let's see what Incredibles 3 has to go. I don't know. I just have a real issue with all these prequels and sequels. I heard they haven't announced that they're making a Finding Marvin from Finding Nemo. Why? Why? There are films that I'm glad that they haven't made sequels to, like WALL-E and A Bug's Life. Those are true to my heart, and just leave them alone, please. And then there's films that I'm thinking, why haven't you made a live action for Atlantis? Why haven't you made a live action for The Black Cauldron? Films that were trying to be an animated movie, but that truly should have been a live action. What is going on? So yeah, those are films that I'm not really that excited about. Frozen 3, I mean, they're not going to stop. They're just going to keep going. And this is a cash grab. They know it's going to make money. And if something's guaranteed, it's a company, it's a business after all. So of course they're going to do it. What else did they announce? Frozen 3, Toy Story. Drop a comment, by the way, if you want to help, if I forgot anything. Oh, Avatar Land. I am super excited that Avatar Land is coming to the Disneyland Resort. That is by far one of my most favorite lands and experiences at a Disney park ever. Avatar takes me to a place of pure fantasy. It takes me to a place of wonder. Every single thing has so much detail, and that just goes to the genius of Joe Rohde. By the way, congratulations, Joe, on your Disney legend. Much deserved. I've gone into this before in the past. When you give a Disney legend a legend like Joe, who worked there 30 plus years and designed and created and dreamed and imagined so hard, and when you give it to the voice of Olaf, it just doesn't weigh the same. So do not dilute the honor of that. Maybe give it to the creator of Olaf. I don't know. That's just my opinion. That's very controversial, I know. But Avatar is going to be amazing. I personally love that drink there. It's like not a peach. It's pear and apple and lime tart. Oh, it's like the Night Blossom, I think is what it's called. Absolutely delicious. The experience will be different. New animatronics. Of course, there's going to be a lot of screens, but of course, it's also going to be a water ride, which I'm glad Disney's going back to its roots in that area. It's going to be gorgeous. It's not going to be as big as Florida, but it's going to be absolutely gorgeous. Different types of rock work, and it's also going to take you to the second and third films opposed to the first film. So that is something that I really like. It's a continuation of the story. And of course, James Cameron has been involved with Walt Disney Imagineering for years now, bringing this to life. And it's going to be epic. It's going to be majestic. It's going to be everything that you want it to be. So I'm glad that it's kind of broken up. I did actually hear that they were going to expand Avatar or Pandora at Animal Kingdom, but I'm glad that they chose to bring it here opposed to just expanding it there, because now we all get to taste it, right? If we're giving them Cars Land, you give us Pandora. It's only fair. So yeah, Imagineering is definitely working hard. I am kind of disappointed that there really wasn't any original concept ideas opposed from the Walt Disney animatronic story. I do think that Imagineering should get back to its humble roots and make original attractions. There's nothing better than an original attraction, an original soundtrack, a new character to meet, And of course, they are opening up in November Tiana's Bayou Adventure. I um I just worked on Mr. Bluebird, and it was kind of sad because I remember working on Mr. Bluebird's figure in the parks, gosh, 7 years ago, and it kind of just brought me back, and it made me very sad because I really thought, and when I was in talks, when I heard that happening, that they were going to Easter egg and put him into the attraction. So let's see if that still happens. I hope it does. He can totally fit. A lot of those old figures could have fit, and there's a lot of blank areas and blank spaces in Tiana's Bayou Adventure in Florida that used to be filled with beautiful, better animatronics that are in there now, truly. So that's kind of sad. I definitely think that, and this is something that Kim Irvine kind of taught us, and this is something that her mentor John Hinch taught her, and she kind of just passed on the tribal knowledge, is whenever you take something away, it needs to be better. And of course, this isn't her vision, it wasn't her idea, per se, but I don't necessarily think Tiana's Bayou Adventure was a better replacement than Splash Mountain. I think Tiana is a great film. I think that it's a very charming ride. It just doesn't belong in the Splash Mountain track system. I think if it was by itself, people would like it a lot more because it took something away, and there was more stuff there, and now there's less. That's what people have an issue with. I hope that's fair to say. So definitely just let's brace ourselves, because I think Disneyland's is going to be a little bit different. Disneyland Splash Mountain is a little bit smaller, and let's just see what happens. I am super, super excited, and I do hope that Disney kind of goes back, like I was saying, to its roots of making new rides, new attractions, and also making new films. The director of Frozen, she went out on stage and she said that they were working on an original story that was music to my ears. We've had too many sequels, too many prequels. I also had a few questions. I didn't hear anything about Cruella 2, which I heard Emma Stone sign that contract years ago, so what's going on with that? Maleficent 3, I didn't hear anything about. I did hear that that's in early production. The Devil Wears Prada 2, got a lot of buzz. I didn't hear anything about that. Hocus Pocus 3, didn't hear anything about that. So it's going to be interesting to hear, down the line what happened to those films, because those are huge franchises. Pirates of the Caribbean 6, I heard. So, a lot of questions that didn't go answered, but I'm super excited to watch the show today and to see Mark Hen get his legacy. A lot of you know I made a video about it. I got to meet Mark Hen. I had lunch with him at the studios. He designed characters like Tiana, Simba, Ariel, Stitch, Olaf. He was one of those that inspired me to go out and do what I did at Disney. He was one of my inspirations, along with, Tony Baxter and Mark Davis. So I am just very, very excited for today for him. He's a great guy, and let's see what the future holds for Disney. I am hopeful, and it's kind of hard to really be like, oh, it's going to be great, because the business side of things really does affect the storytelling, and the price gouging is not fun. And you've seen the decline, right? Summer is the absolute peak, and if they decline in summer, I can only imagine the rest of the year. And that just goes to show, don't be greedy. Do not be greedy. We know what you're doing. We see that the increase of prices, and we're not getting anything differently. So. And if, in fact, there's things that are less, even food is less now. So, that's just kind of sad. And I think that I understand you have to survive. Disney is a company, it's a corporation, but taking money out of your customers' pockets and making them truly suffer. By the way, I'm so excited for the cast members that got unionized. When I started at Jungle Cruise, I got paid $9 an hour back in 2012. And when you work at Jungle Cruise, you truly are putting on a show. I would go home with my voice hoarse. because I would yell and put so much into my truly performance. And they always say, you're not the show, the figures are the show, the story, the river. But without the skipper narrating, there is no Jungle Cruise, there is no show. So they expected so much of us and they paid us so little. But of course, who am I to complain? That's what I wanted, and I'm so grateful that I got to, work the Jungle Cruise. Steam Trains was also a dream come true, working on the railroad. If I could ever go back to working in attractions, I think that that's where I would go, back to the trains. I loved working on the trains. It was so fun. So mindless though too. You just go in circles all day. But that is my review of the things to come. I am excited. I am scared. I am optimistic. We'll see what happens, folks. But thank you all for joining me today. If you like this sort of video, please hit subscribe and ring that bell icon. That way you're notified whenever I upload a new video. I wish you a wonderful day. Go back and watch this if you just joined us. I just concluded my reactions to all the things announced, and I will see you guys in the next one. Always remember, not only to follow your dreams, but to chase them. Later.